Your air conditioner has been running since 9 this morning. It is 2 in the afternoon. The thermostat in your hallway says 76, but you set it to 68 3 hours ago, and it has not gotten there, and it is not going to. Above your head, in a space you have not climbed into since you bought the house, the temperature right now is 140 degrees. The plywood of your roof deck is hot enough to burn the back of your hand, and every minute it sits up there cooking, your electric meter is spinning, and somebody in a utility office 4 states away is getting a little richer. My name is Earl. I have farmed this Ozark Hill farm for 50 years. The upstairs bedroom where my wife and I sleep on the hottest night of August, with the sun beating that roof all day long, stays cooler than yours does with $3,000 of machinery fighting for it. I want to tell you why. I am going to tell you what my grandfather built into this house, what the old hill country carpenters built into every farmhouse they raised, and I am going to tell you the part that should make you angry, which is that none of this is a secret, none of it. It has been known for 200 years, you were just never told. By the end of this, you will know exactly what to look for in your own attic this weekend. You will know what costs $4 to fix, and you will know why the man who sold you your last roof did not mention any of it. Stay with me. If you are new here, welcome to Homestead Grandpa. Hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss a single video. I put one out every week and I do not waste your time. Now let us get into it. The first thing you have to understand is that your attic is lying to you about what it is for. You think of it as part of your house. It is not. In a house built properly, the way my grandfather built this one, the attic is what the old builders called a buffer. It is the space that takes the beating. The sun hits the roof gets hot, the attic catches all of that heat, and then it lets it go. It hands the heat back to the sky before it can come down into the rooms where you sleep. That is the whole job of an attic, to breathe the heat out. But somewhere around the time my own father was a young man, he says it was the late 1960s, the builders decided they were going to do it different. They sealed the attic up. They stuffed it full of pink insulation. They cut 2 small vents in the gable ends, maybe a strip down the ridge, and they called it good. Then they sold the homeowner a bigger air conditioner to make up for the heat that had nowhere to go. That is the trade they made for you without asking. The attic stopped being a buffer. It became a furnace, and the furnace sits on top of your bedroom from 10 in the morning until 10 at night, radiating heat down through your ceiling, into your sheets, into the walls of your children's rooms. Your air conditioner is not cooling your house. It is fighting a furnace your builder installed directly on top of it. My grandfather never made that mistake. He could not. He had no air conditioner to fall back on, so every choice in his building had to work on its own merits, in the real heat, with no machine to hide behind. The piece of old farmhouses you have probably seen and never understood is the little tower on top of the roof. Some folks call it a cupola. The old hill country builders just called it the roof box or the ridge lantern. On the fancy houses in subdivisions, the little wooden tower on top is purely for show, nailed shut, filled with foam, a costume. On a real one, on the kind my grandfather built, the roof box is the engine of the whole house. Here is what it does. Hot air rises, that is not a folk saying, that is just physics. Anywhere on earth hot air goes up. In a sealed attic, the hot air rises and then has nowhere to go, so it sits there pressing down on your ceiling. In a house with a working roof box, the hot air rises, climbs up through the open shaft inside the box, and exits through louvered slats on all 4 sides. But that is only half of it. The half that matters more is what happens at the bottom. When that column of hot air leaves, it pulls cooler air in behind it, through the lower windows, through any opening near the ground. The whole house starts to move. The whole house starts to breathe. The engineers call it the stack effect or buoyancy-driven ventilation. The old builders just called it building a house right. I went up into the attic of this farmhouse last August on the hottest day of the summer. It was 93 degrees outside. The attic, which has a working roof box my grandfather built 90 years ago, was 78 degrees. 78. The roof deck above my head was hot enough you could not hold your palm against it. The air in the attic was cool enough I did not break a sweat standing up there. Across the road, my neighbor's house, built in 1971, sealed up tight, no roof box, fiberglass bats crammed against the rafters. His attic was 136 degrees. I know because he came over later to ask why his upstairs would not cool down, and I went over with my thermometer. Same day, same sun, same county, 60 degrees of difference, no machinery on my side. Now you are thinking, fine, but I cannot put a tower on my roof this weekend. You are right, and that is not what I am going to ask you to do, because there is something else, and this is the part the building industry would prefer you never heard. Inside the attic of this farmhouse, nailed across the underside of the roof boards where the rafters meet the ridge, there is a long strip of plain white cotton muslin, not insulation, not vapor barrier, cotton cloth, the kind you can buy at any fabric store for about $1 a yard. My grandfather put it there. His grandfather put it in the house before that. Here is what it does. When the sun hits a shingle, the shingle gets hot. The wood underneath radiates heat downward in a straight line. Insulation in your floor does nothing about radiant heat because radiant heat does not travel through air the way regular heat does. It goes in a straight line until it hits something. The cotton stops it. It absorbs a little moisture from the cool night air, and during the day, as the roof above heats up, the cotton releases that moisture slowly. It is the same idea as a wet handkerchief tied around your neck on a hot day in the hayfield. The water evaporating off the cloth pulls heat with it. The cotton stays cool. The radiant heat coming off the roof deck never makes it down to where you are sleeping. 4 yards of cotton muslin covers the ridge of an average house. $4 at the fabric store, 1 hour of work with a stapler. I am not rounding down. $4. Now you tell me, in a country where the average household pays more than $2,000 a year to cool a house, why is this not in every building manual? Why did the man who re-roofed your house not mention it? I will tell you why. Think about who makes money when your attic runs at 140 degrees. The electric company makes money. The shingle companies make money. A hot attic destroys shingles from underneath. A roof that should last 30 years lasts 15, and you buy a new roof twice as often as your grandfather did. The insulation companies make money. The HVAC companies make money. There is a whole industry built on selling you the cure for a sickness, the same industry installed in your house in the first place. I am not telling you there was a meeting somewhere. It is something quieter than a conspiracy, and in a way it is worse. It is a quiet agreement among everybody who profits to never mention the alternative. They do not need to coordinate, they just need to stay quiet, and they have for 50 years. Before the fixes, I want to hear from you. After this video, get a flashlight and climb into your attic. Tell me in the comments what you find. Are your gable vents clogged, painted shut, sealed with foam? What county are you in? How old is your house? I read every single comment. And if you have not subscribed yet, hit that button now. New video every week. Let me tell you exactly what to do in order this weekend. Step 1, your gable vents. Almost every house built in this country between 1940 and 1990 has 2 triangular vents up at the peaks of the short ends of the attic. You have seen them from the outside, little louvered triangles. From the inside, they should look like daylight. Get a flashlight, pick a cool morning before the attic heats up. Climb up there and look at those vents from inside. If you can see clear daylight through them, good. If you cannot, and most people cannot, you have just found the first reason your house has been cooking itself. The screens behind those vents are usually clogged with 30 years of dust, paint, wasp nests, and sometimes loose-fill insulation that was blown in by a contractor who did not know better. I have been in attics where the gable vents were completely sealed with spray foam by a man who was paid $2,000 by the homeowner to do it in the name of energy efficiency. He was sealing the house's lungs. Clean them, pull out the debris with your hands or a shop vacuum. If the screen is rusted, staple new aluminum mesh in its place. A roll costs about $3 at the hardware store. 8-inch openings are what you want, small enough to keep insects out, big enough that the air moves. That is step 1. 20 minutes. Step 2. The cotton. 4 yards of plain white cotton muslin, the cheapest kind they sell, and a staple gun. Staple it across the underside of the roof deck where the rafters meet at the ridge, in a strip about 2 feet wide running the length of the attic. You do not need to cover the whole roof. You need to break the radiant heat at the hottest point, which is the top. 2 feet of cotton along the ridge is plenty. Do not use treated fabric. Do not use a tarp. Do not use plastic. Plain untreated cotton. The whole point is that it breathes and holds a little moisture. Plastic does the opposite of what you want. A man I know from the next county over stapled muslin across the ridge of his attic in an afternoon, called me a week later, and told me his upstairs bedroom dropped 6 degrees overnight. His wife slept under a blanket for the first time in July in 20 years. $6 in materials one afternoon. Step 3. The night draft. After the sun goes down, when the outside air gets below 80 degrees, and even in the worst of summer it usually does around 10 or 11 at night, open the lowest windows in your house on the side that has been in shade. Not all of them. 2 or 3 on the cool side, opened about 4 inches. Then check that those gable vents are clear. Open the attic hatch a crack if you have one. The hot air built up in your attic all day climbs up and out through the gable vents. As it leaves, it creates a small, low-pressure zone inside the house. The cool night air gets pulled in through the low windows and moves up through the house, through the attic, and out the gable vents in a slow, steady draft. You will feel it. Stand in the hallway around midnight and you will feel a soft, cool current moving past your ankles. That is your house finally breathing the way it was meant to. By morning, the wood frame of the house has shed most of the heat it absorbed during the day. Your air conditioner starts from a much lower baseline. It does not have to fight a furnace anymore. You will see it on your electric bill within 1 billing cycle, 40 minutes of work the first time. Cotton, mesh, a flashlight, a staple gun, $40 in materials at the absolute most. Most of you can do it for under 10. Now I want to tell you one more thing before I let you go, because it is the thing my grandmother taught me when I was 8 years old, standing in the summer kitchen behind this farmhouse, and I did not understand what she was doing until I was a grown man. A summer kitchen is a small, separate building behind the main farmhouse. The old hill country settlers built them, and you can still find them on old farmsteads all through the Ozarks and the Appalachians. 1 room, a wood cook stove, a window on the wall opposite the door. The obvious point is that you do your hot cooking there during summer so you do not heat up the main house. That is the obvious point. The point my grandmother taught me is not obvious. When she was cooking in the summer kitchen on a hot morning, she would open the door that faced north, open the window on the south wall, and then tell me to go into the main house and crack open the windows on the shaded side. Then she would light the stove. The stove heat would rise. The heat would exit through the south window. As it left, it pulled air through the open door, that air coming from the main house, drawn by the suction of the hot stove pulling its exhaust out through the window above it. She was using the wood stove as a pump. Not just to vent the kitchen, to vent the entire farmhouse. The whole building turned into one slow current of moving air, driven by a stove burning maybe 2 armfuls of wood. She would cook bread and pies all morning, and the main house stayed 10 degrees cooler than the air outside. You have a stove in your kitchen right now. On a hot evening when the sun has gone down and the outside air is starting to drop, turn 1 burner on the lowest setting, just 1. Open the window above it 3 inches. Open a window on the opposite end of your house 3 inches. You have just made the same pump my grandmother made every morning for 50 years. The small heat you add to the kitchen is nothing compared to the volume of cool evening air that gets pulled through the rest of the house. You will feel it within 20 minutes. The cost of running 1 electric burner for 40 minutes is about 5 cents. 5 cents to move cool air through the house every night all summer. Now I want to say the part that goes against everything a modern builder will tell you, because if you do not understand this part, the rest will not work. You have been told to seal your house. Every builder, every energy auditor, every contractor for the last 40 years has been telling homeowners to wrap the building in plastic, foam every gap, caulk every seam, and trap the air inside. In a controlled laboratory test, that advice gives you a slightly lower heating bill in February. In a real house, in a real August, it cooks you alive. A sealed attic is a heat battery. The roof absorbs heat all day, the wood stores it, and because there is no movement, no breath in and out, the heat just accumulates, day after day, week after week. By the middle of August, the wooden structure of a sealed attic is radiating heat into the rooms below it 24 hours a day. It does not cool down at night. It cannot. It has nowhere to breathe. The old barns on this farm are over 100 years old. The hand-hewn beams in this kitchen were cut by my great-grandfather. The wood is dry, sound, and sweet-smelling when you sand it. Why? Because the air moves, the barn breathes, the house breathes. Moving air does not rot wood. Moving air does not grow mold. Trapped air does all of those things, and a sealed modern attic traps air on purpose. If you have spray foam packed against your roof rafters, get it out. If you have a plastic vapor barrier stapled to the underside of your roof deck, take it down. If somebody sealed your gable vents with foam in the name of energy efficiency, cut it out. Undo those 3 things in that order, and your house will start working the way houses were designed to work before someone decided to sell you a sealed plastic box and call it a home. The man who tells you not to ventilate your attic is the same man who will sell you a new $5,000 HVAC unit in 3 years when the old one fails from overwork. I am not saying he is dishonest. I am saying he was taught wrong by people who were taught wrong by people who were paid to teach wrong. That chain goes back 50 years. You are at the end of it. You do not have to stay there. An old neighbor of mine, a man who had farmed the next ridge over for 60 years before he passed, said something to me once that I have thought about many times since. We were sitting on his porch after a long day, and he said, "The only tools worth keeping are the ones you built with your hands and can fix with your hands. Everything else is just renting somebody else's knowledge at whatever price they name." He was talking about more than tools. He was pointing at what too many people have lost. You have surrendered the ability to keep your own family cool in your own home, and you pay a utility company somewhere north of $2,000 a year for permission to be comfortable in August. And it never occurred to most folks that there was anything strange about that arrangement. Because you were born into it, you did not forget this knowledge. It was taken from you slowly, one building code at a time, one sales pitch at a time, one contractor at a time, until you arrived at a house you cannot ventilate, a roof you cannot fix, an attic you have never climbed into, and a bill you cannot question. I am not asking you to tear your house apart. I am asking you to do one thing this weekend: climb into your attic with a flashlight. Look at your gable vents. Tell me in the comments what you find. Are they clogged, painted shut, sealed with foam? What state are you in? How old is your house? Those stories you send back are the reason I keep making these videos, and the help you give each other in those comments is worth more than anything I can say alone. Next time, I am going to show you how my grandfather built the root cellar under this farmhouse, the one that holds a steady 54 degrees year-round, in January and August both, with no machinery, no electricity, no modern insulation, using nothing but clay, sand, and the slope of a hillside. The technique goes back generations. It is the simplest thing in the world. Once someone shows you, nobody will show you. I will. Until then, keep the gate latched, the ground fed, and take care of what is yours.